yeah, motion is, I think, you always shoot motion. It's very cool. Yeah, but my very first experience, it was in a private, very cool shooting club. It was so nice, and you know, you're a girl. Very few girls are, of course, going through all this headache, and you know, like surrounded by males, so much attention, and the instructors, they're like, oh, we want to help you, do like this, do like that, don't forget.
Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome to Survival Russia. So today we're going to do a little bit of an interview with a Russian gun owner. It's going to be Mr. Survival Russia there. Because when we made the video on the boots, a lot of you guys had a lot of questions. Can you own AKs? Can you have slugs in Russia? Because we were using the Psychologist 12 gauge there, right? I'm gonna try and be interviewer here and make Mrs. Survival Russia go through what we as Russian gun owners in Russia have to go through in order to get a firearm. So, instead of looking at my ugly face, I'll go behind the camera. We will let Mrs. Survival Russia speak. What does it require to get a firearm to begin with, and what type of firearm can you have now?
Well, okay, now since July 2022, at least you have to be 21 years old to be able to apply for gun license. And for civilians, we have only, you can say, we are allowed to have hunting weapons, sports weapons, gas weapons, and cold weapons. Cold weapons meaning knives.
Trauma guns.
Trauma guns, this is self-defense type of weapons. Yes, right. Yeah, this is also, you are allowed to have that.
Okay, so how do you get it? What do you have to go through?
Well, first, of course, you have to go through a pretty detailed medical check. You better be sure that you never been busted or got fines for driving in drunk conditions. So if you ever had that, you can forget about applying for this gun license of any type. Also, if you've been accused or imprisoned for some severe crimes, you can also forget about that. So if you are none of that, you are just a normal, polite civilian, you are fine. You just go to your local police branch, it's called OLRR. But you go there, you pay a ridiculously small state fee. Now you have to have a meeting with psychiatrist, a very long interview with psychologist from 1.5 to 2 hours, and you have to go through a very tricky tests. It's like a urine test, which will show your overall consumption of alcohol and oh my God, drugs or something. It will show. It's a drug test, is for, of course, a urine, and then a very serious blood test is also showing some.
Yeah, the blood test can basically show if you're an alcoholic, even you haven't drinking that day.
Yes, of course. So, to be quite honest, many of my friends, including me, we didn't drink at all for 1 month.
All right, so you have your nice medical exams and all this good stuff. Then what do you do?
Okay, then you go to state office and apply for a hunting ticket, so-called hunting ticket. This is, of course,
It's a hunting license.
A hunting license, yes, you have to get that. It's pretty easy. Why do you need to get it? Because for your first application, your very first license is, of course, for smooth bore. Self-defense is a very tricky theme in general in Russia. So let's say, yeah, you are a hunter. This is your purpose of getting the license. You apply for this hunting ticket, and with all the documents, with the paid fee, with your medical check, with the education certificate that you passed exam on legislation, and also that you know how to use the weapons. This you also have to go for the very first time. With all these documents, you go to your local police office responsible for handling firearms to civilians. You get there, and they will give you temporarily license. They will collect all this bunch of documents, give you this A4 list divided on 3 parts. It's called Zelenka, the greeny thing, and like Russian slang. And with this Zelenka, you have half a year to buy the firearm of the type you applied for. In any shop in Russia, you can go, you can buy it, you give 1/3, and you always leave 1/3 of this paper to somebody. The very first 1/3 you leave at the gun shop, and get this and this and this and that. But if you didn't, but if you haven't bought any firearms within this certain deadline, half a year, you'll have to go through all over again. When you bought the firearm, you go back to the police office with this Zelenka, and then they will actually give you this card, which is called Rocha. That's like a gun license, which is valid for 5 years. And only after 5 years of owning smoothbore, you will be allowed to apply for rifles.
So can you tell fast about the test for handling firearms?
Well, you have to, this military kind of educational centers, you have to go through 2 stages. The first stage, of course, is a theory, is a knowledge of the tickets. Like you have around 100 questions. You have no right to make, I think it's only 1 mistake is allowed. If you haven't passed that, you will not be allowed to go further, which is actually to actual handling firearms exam, where you go to a shooting range and you will have 5 rounds on each type of weapons. There's of course smoothbore and pistols. Yes, we have Vikings and Makarovs there.
You also
and
shot
Mosin. Yeah, Mosin is, I think you always shoot Mosin. It's very cool. Yeah, but my very first experience, it was in a private, very cool shooting club. It was so nice, and you know, you're a girl. Very few girls are, of course, going through all this headache, and you know, like surrounded by males, so much attention, and the instructors, they're like, oh, we want to help you, do like this, do like that, don't forget. It was like paradise. The last time I went through this stuff, it was, I think, COVID. A lot of the private centers, they were closed or taken license away, so the only DASAV, it's like a society of happy army guys, you know, people which are dreaming about army, and it's called like a volunteer help to the army society. So actually, and these guys, they're a state organization, and they were overloaded, overcrowded. We came like people of 50, the crowd of 50 people coming there. And you should also know that the servicemen from police and the other ministries, they come there for their regular trainings, and then we come like 50 idiots, which many of us didn't use seriously our firearms within these 5 years. Everybody have kids, we are civilians, we are working, or you have to drive somewhere, have to shoot in some forest. It's a headache, right? And I was like, we were only 2 girls out of 50. So, and poor males, many of them were very frustrated, just as me. And when we, of course, some very experienced hunters, they failed with the tickets, and they were crying about it. Oh, how come I'm owning a rifle for like 40 years, but I cannot cope with this damn exam? I am here 3rd time, I cannot shoot and stuff like that. But happily I passed it, and you know, the thing is that you don't have any ways like for corruption, because you sit at the screen, you have your test, you have camera looking at you, and all your results straight away go to the top office, which is responsible for that. There is no way for middle linker or some happy officer to help you. Yes, so. Of course, and then when we went down to the shooting range, the guys, they were really like in the army. They divided us into 2 groups, and they started to give us this commands and do this and do that. And we were like really like, what? Do you remember what he said? No, what do we do first? Because we have a very important sequence of commands. When you finish shooting, you have to say some certain words, and you have to, you know, like a very, very important sequence of commands. And
basically, if you just what's called range safety.
Yeah, and the one guy, he was very unlucky because he stood with most, oh no, he stood, it was pistol, yeah, and he just did like this towards the instructor, and he lost all his licenses that moment because instructor went straight away and he did something to database and said, now you will never ever have the gun license again, because this you of course cannot do. And if you are, especially if you are like experienced owner, meaning that you had a license more than 5 years, you have rifles and stuff like that, this kind of failures you simply cannot make. But there are some ways for appellation, of course, but at the same time we can have very interesting situations. I was a witness of this when I went through psychiatrist. And there was a very weird guy in the queue sitting and waiting.
Funny story, actually.
Yeah, and you know, he looked very weird to me, you know. He was not like a type of a hunter or manly male. He was very feminine in all his look, and skinny and dressed a little bit weird and spoke very weird to me. But okay, he went first to psychiatrist. Then he left. Then I had my own shower. It was like, because it was very stressing, and you know, all these things is a little bit stressful. Let's put it like that. But in the end of my happy interrogations with the psychiatrist, he got normal and friendly, because before it was a very reserved guy. Okay, and then he told me, he said, "Hey, do you remember this guy which came in front of before you?" I say, "Yeah, that weirdo." He said, "Ah, so it's not only me who thinks that he is a weirdo." I said, "No, you shouldn't be a psychiatrist for that, to say that there's something wrong with this guy." He said, "Yeah, and he is wrong. He has something in his head. And I wrote so many, how you call it, how you say that you're unhappy, complaints to the higher commissions, medical commissions. I asked them that this guy should not have any weapons whatsoever, but they don't do anything about it. How can it be? How can it be?" So this is what I really faced in Moscow, and I still don't understand what went wrong there, because the guy was really weird. So you can say, yeah, life is changeable and different from gun owner to gun owner.
So anyway, guys, enough of the firearms gun talk here. I hope you like the video, and I hope you will check the links in the description and consider supporting the channel and our vehicle projects and our project to the Dyatlov Pass and all that good stuff. And until next time, get out and train, get it done, do something awesome, and see you in the next video, guys. Thank you very much for your time. See you in the next one.